Omega to make a statement. But as of yet, this is going to be game number 2 between Omega as well as RRQ HOSHI.
Now, with the compositions that they have set in stone here for both teams, they do have a lot of layers to it, right? Because we have RRQ HOSHI on one hand with really extreme crowd control, but on the other hand, they have Kufra as well. So in terms of composition, Rafael, who do you prefer more?
Looking at the composition,
Done for our third series of the day. It's gonna be IDNS from Thailand on the blue side going up against Indonesia's RRQ HOSHI.
There it is. Happen in the
Jungle
game
Julian,
Kufra has to make sure that he gets on the
I
right
think
target.
that's honestly so far from what we've seen. I
He
think this
has
is
to
the
go in.
best
He has to
place
survive
right now.
He has to give enough space
the way that
for
teams
him
are
to
currently
deal
using
damage
it.
right now.
And also, when you're talking about matching him up here, you know, he's matched up against an Akai.
Yeah, I feel like RRQ
dominate the past couple
a
days.
more sturdier draft.
I think that
I definitely agree.
I do think that
now,
Julian in
he
the
is going to
jungle
be
is going to
going on
be
a
the
matchup with
safest
Rafael.
way for a
This
lot
is
of teams
a
because
good
they're very
matchup because
comfortable.
I feel
And
like
with the way
Masha's
Julian
gonna
plays out, he kind of fits the
dominate this lane
role
unless Red Team is going to be
being
able to
utilitarian,
respond. I feel like
able to
the
deal
Paquito
enough
force
damage,
coming
but
in
if
from
you need him
Omega
to
was
engage
just
and lock
intentionally
somebody
just
down
targeted
just
towards
enough
Albert.
for you
And
to
we
win
talked
your
about how
trade, he can do that
his
as
thing
well.
is just a
I
force to
think that
begin
throwing
with,
him
and I
into
feel like
different
Omega there
positions
just
does
focusing on
allow
Albert
for a little bit more flexibility.
However,
However,
it is going to
look
work
on
out. But
towards that
now,
top
Chakra,
side,
with the
especially with
engagements
the way
onto his
Vin
mid,
is taking
is
these
there going to
trades.
be
They
any
gotta
sort
be
of
careful.
follow-up coming from
This
Omega?
early
Seems like
game
they
may not
are not
necessarily
going to continue
be in
as
their
Albert
favor.
just
Yeah,
hit his
absolutely.
floor
So
just
both
right
teams
in their
actually
face.
have to
They
be
do
a
not
little
want to
bit
overcommit
cautious
the
here.
mistake.
Obviously, Zanri
I
can
mean,
be
in
a
the
little
early
more
game, I
aggressive
feel like
as
in that
compared to
mid-side,
Vin simply
RRQ
because
HOSHI is
of
a
how
bit
their
on the
heroes
behind,
will
just saying,
interact. But
because
both
that's
sides
Sicilian. He
do
needs
want
a
to
little
delay
bit
the
more
game
items,
long
needs a
enough
little bit
for their
more
cores to get
scaling
on point.
potential
So
to be
unlike
able to deal
previous
out the
matchup
damage
where
that
we
is
saw
required
IDNS
of him.
really play
Meanwhile,
hard
Eve
and
can
fast,
just slow
they're
and
now
use her
trying to
utility from
just
the get-go,
take it
especially
slow,
when she hits
slow
level
down the
4.
tempo
So
so
with
that
that
the
in mind,
Irritel and
hopefully
the
Omega can
Sicilian
actually
can
use
get
that to their
really fed.
advantage and capitalize over
Vin's
this
doing an
trap.
amazing job
But
right
for the
now,
moment,
just
it
kind
is
of
going to be that
zoning.
turtle
That's
already being
exactly what he
placed
has
into
to
the
do.
line of dawn,
And
and we'll
even
see
forcing
who
that
gets there
early
first.
flicker
Yep,
round
the
from
first turtle
Xanri.
is going to be
So,
up for grabs.
I mean,
You can see there has been set up coming from
forcing Xanri
RRQ
to kind of
HOSHI as well. Vin a
check-
little
like,
bit
kind of
afraid to
check
do so
himself
as
in the
well.
playstyle
Ryzen
that's
does
going
have the
with
kill
Cena
potential
is
to
gonna
run
be
it, but it seems like there is going to be a
important,
split
especially
fight
with
onto
this
with the
first
purple
turtle
buff as well.
coming up,
Albert still
there's a lot
trying to
of
secure his
tools
purple buff, but it looks like
available
he is going to
both
lose out on the
sides.
retribution
And
war, and
RRQ
Ryzen will
has
come
the
on top.
advantage
Now,
here.
opportunity has
using
been
the heavy
presented
spin
itself
once
to
to go
Albert
in,
off
but
the
the
temple
turtle has
stage. He
already
does
been
not have the
secured by
immunity, and this is
Albert.
Omega's
Off the
time to
hand,
shine as they
Kane.
finally pop the
Darn light,
realization.
damage.
Catches off
I
play,
would have
and now
expected here in
R7
the
is
first
in a very, very
minute,
awkward
RRQ
situation.
HOSHI
Renzo is trying to ego challenge his fight, eventually waits for Ryzen to save the day as Ryzen completely snowballs them all out. So this is the opportunity that Omega has been
are
looking for.
developing very
Double
slight
kill for
advantage
the
just
side of
because
Omega,
he's
now
starting
only
to
with
get
one
L-speed.
match lead, and that is it.
Really,
That's
the caster
exactly
curse
what we
here, I
need to
feel,
see,
is
right?
especially
Give
strong with
Chaku
Gideon for
a
some
hero
reason.
that he can
Ramela
use to
going
find
to
those
unfortunately
types
be
of
the first
momentums
blood
in the
here,
game,
and now RQ
and they
looking
will
for
get
another
all
one.
over.
A nice
So
jump
now,
forward
from
by
the side of
IZ to
RRQ,
escape
how
the
are they
Numen
going
on
to
blast, and
do
now
this?
the
Understanding
sprint
that
going to
Link
allow him to
is
get
going
away,
to
but
have
the
a difficult
dog!
time and
That's
really
just
be able to be
unfortunate. Clay in
inhibited by the
perfect
movements
position
from
to
Chakra
get it
himself.
with that infinite
Well, again, looking at the draft, they have
I thought there was a
multiple
moment
conditions,
there where,
not just
like,
on the link, but
IZ
Clay
might
as
have
well
gone
as
away there,
Skylar, they
especially
can
with the
dish out
sprint, but
lot
it
of
was a
damage,
nice kind
and
of
they
cut
can
off
dish it
there
out
from
from
the
a
team
long
RRQ
range.
HOSHI.
So as long as
that's
the
what they have
Grok
to be
Vader
careful
here
for, right?
can
Because
make
we
sure
don't
that
technically
he
know
can
how much
control
damage is
Omega's
packed into this new
rotation,
Airfield just
giving
yet, or how
enough
it's gonna play out
enough
for the
information
game,
for
but
Clay
right
and
now,
Skylar to
focus
actually
on
do
those
their
target
farm
features.
in an
Ramela, you
optimal
don't
way.
want Ramela
He
to just
can
kind of
eventually scale up and be a problem for the side of Omega because they want to go in 1, 2, 3. 3 members of the side of Omega will dash straight into RRQ HOSHI, probably trying to catch Clay off guard. But as long as Clay survives, they should be good.
I definitely agree, but as of yet, RRQ HOSHI, they have to play this a little bit safe. They cannot give too much of a lead towards Ryzen, and I've talked about this earlier as well. The Karina excels at being snowballing, and somehow playing safe right now does not help Omega as well. It's pretty counterproductive, especially that Ryzen has been given a 2-kill lead as of yet.
Looking at this game, Ryzen, the way that he's playing, I feel like it's fine. I feel like it is okay. I think that they're just trying to see what RRQ HOSHI, like the way that they want to respond, because Omega, they started off being very aggressive. But how aggressive is aggressive? I want them to pick it up a little bit as well, but I want them to focus on one lane, get 2 turrets, and then they can properly set up a map control situation, making sure that Clay and Skylar will have a difficult time to actually position themselves.
Agreed. Smart plays coming from RRQ as well, not contesting the second turtle, knowing that this does not worth it. They have more on their next level spike, which is probably probably by the third turtle phase, which is about 100 seconds before the RRQ decides to force the issue. Albert now has been safe farming very, very safely throughout the entire fight. But when he comes out for the turtle fight, I'm pretty sure things are going to be in his favor. But Omega, looks like they are going to try and greed things out to try and take an objective up top before heading down bottom.
We'll see what happens here. It does seem like Omega wants to push for this, and there doesn't seem to be any answers coming in from RRQ HOSHI. I do understand that they need to be a little bit more patient because they're waiting for those power spikes to show, especially that they do have the Sicilian. But how patient do they have to be? Because they're basically conceding all these objectives on the board just so easily onto Omega, right? One turtle, 2 turtles have actually already been taken by the side of Omega, 1 turret to their name as well. And what can RRQ HOSHI do? Because sure, give them the objective in those neutral objectives like the turtle, but look for some compensations on the board. If Omega wants to rotate, look for some mirror movements. I think that's something that they need to do. They want to avoid fights, but they're losing a little bit too much in the process.
Pay attention to the mini-map right now. As you can see, Chakno is so far back. He's trying to find a setup to go in for the engagements as well in case RRQ HOSHI decides to back off. And seems like Omega, they want to try and force a fight right now before it happens. But Chakno, look at this. He's going for the rage. He does catch onto his play, and here comes the setup. Albert was too busy with the purple buff, cannot do anything at all. And that's going to be Omega going for the perfect catch. Chakno, what an amazing game sense coming in.
6 minutes in, already 3-0. So once again, Omega really showing their dominance here in game number 2. This is a huge difference to game number 1. And why has this happened here, Lafel?
Yeah, this is why I say for the side of Omega, what they're trying to do is actually get 2 turrets first, making sure that they have the map control and try to get onto Clay. And that is what is happening right now, especially since Clay is using the Spirit, not a Purify. So once Purify gets on top of him, there's not really anything that he can do. For the side of RRQ HOSHI, I kind of feel like they should try to take an opportunity to outplay mechanically wise, because again, these players are super talented. I feel like if they force a fight, they could potentially do something with it. I don't know, that's just me.
I definitely agree, but RRQ HOSHI, they've tried to wait for the moment before the third turtle coming. They needed Albert on that purple buff before reading the setup, for the setup as well, and Omega was able to actually catch them off guard, and that was so smart, especially coming from Chaknu from the back lines, because I wouldn't expect a flying Kufra from all the way back, and they are pretty much in a blind spot as well, because if you play a mobile phone on the screen, there is no way in heck that Clay is going to be able to spot that out because of that blind spot, which is on the bottom left on the screen.
Yeah, right now the real inflation has been set up, and R7 is going straight on to E2max. E2max taking a lot of damage. Finn is being chunked down as well, and look at Kelra. Kelra going straight for Skylar. So far, no kills have been had. Only E2max has been taken down, but for the side of RRQ HOSHI, they're still healthy, but they're not really trying to get any more out of this fight. They still just want to farm.
Omega is playing it so disciplined as well. They're not giving any like cracks for RRQ HOSHI to actually capitalize on. They're being very objective, they're being very disciplined. As now we're going to take a little peek into the players' gold, we see that 3 members from the side of Omega Esports are going to be dominating in that area, with Ryzen now at the top of that leaderboard. So this Karina, like you mentioned before, Icy Baby has actually snowballed from that early game. But what I'm surprised is Renzio is actually top on that damage dealt.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like this snowball coming from Omega is good, but I feel like it's not hot enough yet. And RQ, they are still mirror matching up, because if you compare the levels between both Albert as well as Ryzen is level 12. Albert is also level 11. It's not that far behind, so it's still a very doable situation. It's all about buying for that time. But as of yet, RQ, they're going to make an attempt here down bottom. Renzio's all by himself, but this is an annoying Paquito. Meanwhile, mid-late, however, Skylar is going to take a little bit too much damage, but it seems like Omega will not press the issue. So that is going to be a failed attempt coming from Omega to get a little bit more out of this situation.
But look at those minions really pushing it in that top side. And another turret has been secured for the side of Omega. So more space, more objectives on the board, and more of that gold lead, as now they are turning their focus into this next
Oh no,
war.
Albert!
Whoa. Albert,
what are you thinking? He's going for a Tempest Blade. He's down to 1 HP. He tried to go for the steal. Unfortunately, doesn't have enough to take. Look at him. He's going to make a run for it as well. But seems like the rest of the team coming from Omega will just completely say, Albert is not here. Let's just kill whoever is in front of us. And they will take R7 with them. Omega continue to snowball with this lead as of yet.
I feel like RRQ HOSHI, this is a rare thing to say, but maybe they're playing it a little bit too slow, because looking at what happened just now, 2 members for the side of RRQ HOSHI, including Albert, went and tried to fight against Renzio, and Renzio had no issues at all. He only has 2 defensive items over here, and it looks like Albert does not have enough damage, probably because he's focusing on a crit build. So once he has full crit rate, then he can really dish out a lot of damage. But again, RRQ HOSHI, based on the itemization that they have, they're really slowing down the game. But I do want to see Clay. I hope in this, even in installing the game out, he's getting a lot of stacks, because we really need Clay to step up right now to make sure that Omega does not end the game.
Oh, Rezio, he's going to get caught off. This is going to make the opportunity that RRQ HOSHI has been eyeing for, but the Lord is still knocking on the top side. Real Movement comes in. Kara does have the crossbow tanks. R7 is going to be able to back out. Vin looking to re-engage. The post coming from Clay is going to be able to clean out the minions here. Chaknu losing a little bit too much damage. Albert finally shows himself, but he just doesn't have enough damage to do anything. They're just so very tanky coming from Omega.
Yeah, and RRQ HOSHI, they're so far behind. I mean, now with that previous 4,000 gold lead, is actually reached and crept up to that extra 2,000. So they only got one in that sense. Renzio was taken down, and Omega, of course, was forced to back off. But Chaknu here seems like he's waiting for that right opportunity once again here, as maybe this might be one of the last moments here from the side of RRQ HOSHI.
Yep, it's going to be very difficult to do so, but you can see RRQ is still playing it very safe. Finally, they are going to be making a play as well. As you can see, Albert is trying his best to stall the game as long as they can to try and go in for the split push. But in terms of objective, pay attention to Omega's towers. None of the turrets on their side are still even chipped up as well. It's relatively healthy, especially for tier 1. So there's just so much map control coming from Omega. And who could blame RRQ that they're being oppressed right now? And I feel I really like that they're still trying to make some sort of play. And it's going to be a lot of emphasis on Albert, whether or not can he capitalize on the economy across the maps.
And right now, actually, you know, just a small fun fact thingy, right? Chaknu and E2Max both have a 100% kill participation as of right now, because all 4 kills they are involved in. And looking at the gold difference, we see it reflected on the items over here, especially on the 1-1. Already have the Demon Under Sword, Corrosion Scythe, even the Wind of Nature. So even if Albert tries to aim for the 1-1, it's not going to be fruitful. So whenever they do decide to go for a team fight, they have to have this mental note that Kelra has a Wind of Nature. So don't try to kill him off first. Perhaps try to go for the E2 Max, but with how E2 Max is positioning himself, it looks like he will get them before they can actually go towards Kelra or E2 Max.
Oh, this might be the go-to plan as well. Albert's about to hit the 15. With the Trunking up on Clay means they can try and prolong this fight. However, Kelra, he will be able to park the crossbow tanks. R7 is forced to run for his life. Here comes the crossbow tanks, and R7 might actually fall right here, and that is going to be it. RRQ HOSHI a little bit afraid to do so, but Kelra is going to be so far away from the rest of the teams as he gets bound up, and that is going to be a well worth it trade. A marksman for an XP laner, but can they get a little bit more? However, Omega, they've reset the Lord. They could not get those objectives, so this is a small window of an opportunity for RRQ to come back because of that play.
Yeah, huge play there coming in, and a little bit too overcommitted from the side of Kelra. Sure, you get a pick on the board, but losing yourself in the process was not a good trade. And now it does seem like Omega, they still want to continue with the process of oppression, but unfortunately, with the way that RRQ HOSHI now starting to reach their power spikes, I'm actually quite interested to see how far of itemization Clay has actually gone into, as Albert goes in very aggressively here.
No, it looks like they are going to force the play as well. Kelra just got back from the base. He needs to run all the way back here to back up Omega. RRQ, they are thinking about going for the fights as well. The Ball Bearers do isolate the fight, but they are a little bit afraid because of how low Albert's HP is, and he doesn't even have the purple buff. Seems like it's playing it safe once again coming from RRQ HOSHI and Omega. They understand this. They are going to try and force the Lord here. Vin trying to reset the Lord. Unfortunately, not going to happen with the Guardian's Barrier as of yet, but the Lord down towards 10% threshold. Where is Albert? They need him on the sides, but no, he got stopped at the track on the sides as well, and he almost pays the price as Omega was ready to stop him in his track for his cheeky play. Albert going for the recall. Renzio a little bit too close, but RRQ, they will lose Vin, but also the Lord trade.
Right now, looking at how RRQ is proceeding, I feel like part of the problem is Omega right now knows how Albert moves around the map, and that is why we can see some of his rotations are actually getting disturbed. Now, I feel like RRQ HOSHI, they have more or less an idea, and the way that they want to play this team fight is actually to capitalize on how Omega thinks, especially looking at what Kelra did just now. If they can force overextensions coming from the side of Omega, because again, I did state it out, they have 3 members that want to go in, 3 melee heroes that want to get close, up and personal with RRQ HOSHI, but Kelra, if he keeps playing on like that, then they can eventually capitalize on those mistakes. But right now, 7,000 gold lead, and the Lord is marching up. Omega, this is their game to lose.
Uh-oh, R7, he almost got the proc with crossbow tanks. Omega can't seem to abuse it as well, but RRQ HOSHI, they're holding on with the inhibitor, trying to chip away at the Lord and try and stall this as much as they can. And that was a very, very quick lockdown, clear down onwards the Lord as of yet. But RRQ HOSHI, they're still trying their best. Chunk to conceal from the sides. He wants to go in for the catch, but it is still two very, very tanky heroes. So playing it safe. Omega, they don't want to force more as well. Renzo trying to bait out wall charge. Vin is going to be able to do that, but they are still focusing on the inhibitors coming from Omega, chipping away very, very slowly at all the objectives as of yet. As RRQ doesn't want to force the fight yet, just because Skylar has not hit 15 yet.
The problem is now only one member from the side of RRQ HOSHI has used that ultimate, so they might want to be able to wait for that because all those resources were actually baited, and now Omega looks like they're going in.
Yep, this is it. Skylar, he will be forcing a flicker as well. Vin is going to be first to fall. R7 trying to make a little bit more as well. Kelra forcing crossbow attacks. They need to back out. They have nothing as well. And this is going to be RQ trying to force a fight. But R7 taking a little bit too much damage. Albert shows with the Temples of Blade. Can they get the kill? No, they cannot. Ryzen with the Winter Trunk and Clutch is going to completely negate all this damage. And RQ HOSHI, they will lose 4. And it's only up to Clay. And Omega will come up on top just like that. As they will close out game number 2. Potentially as Clay, the last man standing, not going to be able to do too much as Omega bounce back and tie the series again.